next week in the neighborhood, in La Misión, the Floricanto Literary Festival is coming back, which is a huge thing for us. It's been in the Zoom Mundo for the past 2 years. Next week, the 9th, 10th, and the 11th, there's going to be poetry up and down Calle 24. There's going to be poetry in here. There's going to be poetry at Mission Synth. There's going to be poetry at Presida Aya Murals. So please come back for that. If you want to know more of the schedule, go to the Instagram, San Francisco Floricanto, and there's a whole lineup of folks. It's going to be amazing. Reina Grande, Joseph Rios, Adib Medina, Claudia Patricia Luna, all kinds of good folks. So tap in with that. But tonight, like I said, we're celebrating José's libro, and he's got some very special, beautiful guests with him tonight. The one and only Trang is here. Providing the musical accompaniment, the one and only Calmate y Los de la Bahía. It's going to be beautiful, poetic anarchy. We're very excited. So without further ado, let me introduce the man of the evening, okay? Y'all give it up for José.
Buenas noches. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you, son, for being here. I'm really excited. I get to read with Trong. I've known Chola for the past 18, maybe 20 years. Trong was my teacher at SFC back in 2004, and I would say you're like I have a conflicting relationship because you're the reason why I'm still in academia, which I don't know if I'm happy about that, but it's because I feel like you showed me how beautiful it can be, and our experiences as an undergraduate student at SF State, it really showed me how beautiful a student-teacher relationship can be and what academia can do for us. And so as conflicted as I am, I still believe in that space, and it's mostly thanks to you, Trump. So it's really something to be reading with you, and especially now that I have a book that I can read with you. Because before I didn't have a book in English I could read with you, but now I feel like good. I can read with my teacher. So a couple of things. This book started in many ways.
I'm the opening man.
Oh really? I don't like.
I look like you have.
Fine.
I'm the opening man. It's your
my teacher. Well, okay. Well, I'll say. I won't say any more of them. I'll just wait.
This is your night, Jose. In the course of this book, the word motherfucker is used deliberately in excess. The word is used and someone laughed. The word is used in a sentence out of anger. The word is used as violence. The word is used and someone is offended. The word is used in context. My mother, if she knew, if translated, I think my mother would approve. The word interrupts. The word, I'm told, is just the word. She calls every day at 8 a.m. My mother insists on interrupting my sleep. A Vietnamese man died this week, stabbed in the heart. My mother calls to tell me this. The word is used because I do not have another. Written again into this book, this need to wake. My mother calls to know that I'm alive. This man who died, I wonder if his mother is still awake. Another Vietnamese man is killed in the same week. My mother calls with news of his death. She calls to wake. She won't stop watching. 8 in the morning. My mother calls with details of how a Vietnamese man was killed and dismembered. The word is pushing through even now. My mother tells me The man they killed was about my age. He was 55 years old. My mother forgets how old I am. My mother tells me the boys who killed him are white, the age of my students. In the course of this book, I am thinking about the word and its use. I'm attempting to temper the word. This word I know is not just the word. I think about my mother all the time. Of the 8 a.m. wakes she is fated to hold again and again. For the mother of those who have been hurt and killed, and the mothers of those who hurt and killed. The word, my mother, this mother, the word. Jose, thank you for having me here today. I'm a teacher, and sometimes I teach in the classroom, and as such, I have to conduct myself accordingly. So this is a writing exercise for the classroom. The 5 obstructions, a poetry exercise. 1, state a fact. This is not the same as the truth. 2, confront a lie. Use profanity of your choosing. 3, ask a question, something obvious but still unanswered. 4, identify an audience and then exclude. This is a good thing. 5, still there's something you did not say. Say it in the footnote. And then this is an exercise that I use out in the world, not in the classroom, and perhaps not as appropriate. The 5 obstructions of poetic exorcism. 1, state a fact. Begin your statement with this motherfucker. 2, confront a lie. Use profanity, something like, hey motherfucker. 3, ask a question. Ask it of a motherfucker. 4, identify an audience and then exclude. No need to name the motherfuckers. 5, still there's something you did not say. Say this in the footnote. You motherfucker. I apologize for the inappropriate language. Sometimes it happens. You write this book based on the facts, because the truth is subject to interpretations. When the white reader of this book tells you that this couldn't possibly have happened, this did not happen, that the life you live is not yours to write, to tell, that in their version of your life, things are complicated. And if this is not enough to convince you of your life, they will claim nuance and complexities. Note to self, the words nuance and complexity are forever erased from your vocabulary. And just like that, you find yourself subjected. They tell you that they tell you how they see it, how they see you, what is happening, even as it is happening to you. And even then, if that should fail to convince you of your life, they will resort to questions. Why the period? Does it even make sense? They will ask this of another by way of asking couldn't you just go somewhere else away? This is a lesson learned from childhood. As a child, you learn never to go into white people's houses. You learn this the hard way, back in the 4th grade. You were one of 4 boys. You were playing in their house. You were accused of stealing $5 from a purse. You were accused by the others, one, then another, then his mother. You were angry, afraid. You were still just a child who remembered crying when accused. You told your mother. You told her the truth. You didn't steal the $5. Your mother believed you. She said she believed you. She said, let that be the lesson. You don't go wandering into white people's houses. That night after dinner, you walked with your mother over to that house, the white people's house. She held your hand. She told you to wait at the edge of the sidewalk. She knocked on the door. She gave the woman a folded white envelope. That night, your mother walked home. That night, you remember crossing the street. Your mother stopped. That night, you stopped holding your mother's hand. I'm just going to read one more poem, and then I'm going to turn this evening over to José and the celebration of this book. So let me find the right poem to read here. Since we're on the theme of teaching, I'm going to read a poem that is again about the act of teaching. In this particular case, I was somehow in the moment claimed as a student to some other teacher, a teacher that I didn't want in that moment, but it's still part of the reality of existing, and José existing in the academy. So I'm there for you, I'm there with you. Anytime you need to offload and just process, know that I'm somewhere nearby. When the older white colleague takes you under his wing, gives you advice, he tells you that you should make an effort to translate. He tells you that all young academics should be translated. He brings Vietnamese poets from Vietnam. He brings them to his class. He prompts them to perform their poetry. He translates. He reads their translation as poetry. He asks them to sing a Vietnamese folk song. He translates their rhythm. He leads by example. His students all translate. It's not about language, that awkward moment when you have been given advice unsolicited, unwanted. He tells you to translate. It's only natural, after all. He assumes that English is not your first language. It's in that awkward moment when you have to respond. Well, actually, I only write in English. Perhaps one day I'll try translating, but not before I learn the language. It's in that moment, that awkward moment, when you are reminded that your life is lived as a life in translation. Thank you.
Thank you, Chong. Like I said before, this is kind of like a dream to be able to read with you. I'm excited. And for whatever it's worth, I'm also around if you need it.
I will.
Yeah. It's been long enough that it's now I know it's mutual. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to say thanks to everyone. Thank you to folks at Medicine for Nightmares, Usaya. Thank you so much. Space is amazing, and it's necessary. So if you can, in any way, shape, or form, support it whenever you can, please. I'd like to say a couple of things. There's there's a strange triangulation that happened with this book. I became a parent, the parent of this 9-year-old right here. I also became a graduate student, and I became an indebted subject, all at the same time. So there are 3 impulses in this book, and also there's a story, the story of a mining town in Peru called Morococha. And this mining town is, I would say, not necessarily unique in the world. It happens all over the place. But it's a community was forcibly relocated due to its proximity to a large copper deposit. And this is something, again, that happens all the time, but the violence of extraction is sometimes lost because we live so far away in techno-privilege that we don't realize that all these devices and all these computers and the life we lead has a flip side. And it's dark. So a lot of the, I still think of them as poems, but a lot of the poems gather the testimony of the residents of Morococha that I visited several times between 2013 and 2019. And some of those poems I will not read. This book is meant to be polyphonic. It's meant to have multiple accents and voices. But I'm going to choose to read the voice of the parent writer, which is me. And I probably won't read some of the other more choral pieces, but I do want you to be aware of it, that a lot of the testimonies of the folks, the people that live in Morococha are here kind of as is. I didn't really touch their testimonies. And they're in Spanish, but they are translated in English in the back. Okay, so I want to start off with an epigraph from Eloy. What happens if the way in which we study reality is confusing, chaotic? To inform about the encounter, to write, to show the inconsistency of reality. A question of displacement. A Chinese company buys a large mining site in Peru. Copper, molybdenum, and silver deposits run through the mountain. There's a town on the mountain, a bull with no horns. In order to reach the deposits, the people must go, as must the mountain. All goes round again. The company claims it won't force anyone to leave. The craters will reach the town in 8 years. The original infrastructure of future battlefields. To maintain the fortress, metabolic bodies in constant motion, amniotic fluid running through your nostrils, pulsations generating rhythm, body movement without structure, leaching ponds laid out in endless geometric patterns, fractured mountains, a network of swollen arteries, muscles stretching, the lack of phosphorus, a maze of embryonic tissue. The original infrastructure of future battlefields. Let's try that again. Instructions on how to maintain the fortress. Shake the necessary number of metabolic bodies, thrust in constant motion. Count every single object arriving on time through a nameless conveyor belt. Be more specific, be more subversive, be more effective, be more non-economic. A network of swollen arteries, tailings pumping mercury into their reservoirs, an insatiable thirst for speed. Know this, or at least to draw from instructions. This world, beyond future, within capitalism. How? He likes to stare at walls. Let's try that again. To extend the vortex, metabolic bodies in tungsten potions, amniotic fluid running through our nostrils, rhythm generating pulsations, body movements sit down further, teaching songs played out in endless geometrical tatters. The back is monstrous, a trace of tectonic fissures, juridical and stark crutches. How would this translate into Spanish? How it works. If I were more concerned with material accumulation you would perhaps have more things, more toys, more books. We could even buy an apartment instead of rent one. Do you feel like you have enough? Sometimes I feel like I'm not being intelligent as a parent. And then I remember that view when I was young, that hill on the horizon. You could see it clearly from the country club near our house. How different it looked at night. Glowing ambers lined up in endless geometrical patterns. And during the day, dirt roads, no sewage, trash, esteras. For you, for us to have more things, places like this need to exist. I think that's how it works. A question of indebtedness. I can feel the debt pulsating through my body. Cada centavo que debo. I can feel the different interest rates calculating themselves with every step I take. I wonder if my dissertation committee wants me to write like this, so direct and obvious and devoid of artifice, and I don't know what I'm doing here, but I'm scared because I can feel the debt pulsating through my body. I can feel the music arriving from somewhere. My son will be 6 years old next week, and I hate the fact that I live so far away from him. I hate the fact that the university forces me to compete and professionalize, compete and professionalize, compete and professionalize, and I don't think that's what I want to do with my writing. The university is fucked up right now. I can feel the debt pulsating through my body, the different interest rates, each loan calculating itself with every word I write in the university, not of the university, and still in the university. I think Fred Moen's work is necessary. I'm also suspicious of his complicity. I'm suspicious of my own complicity. All of us in the university complicit, and the millions of students incurring debt every day, billions and trillions of dollars. And do you really want to know how it feels at 4,540 meters above sea level? I'm here in San Francisco, sieged by all this tech money and complaining about the public university in the United States, while the people of Morococha get screwed by the Peruvian government and the Chinalco mining company in our indifference. I feel compelled. I feel obliged. Their story. I can feel the debt pulsating through my body. It works in mysterious ways. I haven't read this before, so let's see what happens. A question of loss. Once again, the voices lost, the people, Morococha, their own words, once again become invisible like a specter that gravitates in the depths. Once again, the voices lost. A loss, an absence I carry inside. Morococha, once again, it's not a surprise, although it's still surprising. The persistence of the loss, the inability of an attempt to recover. Once again, we're back at the point of departure. What does it mean to lose? I am there, listening, in the break. The recording is lost, the digital notes, yet their voices live inside of me, and they come out to sing as I close my eyes. The clouds get heavy, and I can't stop crying. Once again, we're back at the point of departure. Sarita's Salchipapas joint on Main Street, which is called Main and is also the main street in town. Carlos Hostel, Percy's friend, where I stayed during my last visit, and which had an internet cabina where a handful of teens would gather in the evenings to play Call of Duty. La Olla de Barro, where I would eat breakfast every day and watch all the miners chat it up and get ready for work before loading up their decked out SUVs. The candlelight vigil to raise awareness about the next strike. The persistent, biting dryness in the air, the coldness that seeps deep into your bones. The perpetual soroche headache that bullied me every night because of my damn coastal blood. Those 4 kids playing on the street next to the municipality, oblivious to the public hearing taking place inside. The way in which the mountains stretch abruptly towards the sky, as if they were trying to embrace the clouds, or perhaps trying to escape the rotten smell of the tailings deposits. This urgency to write, to remember everything, because the recordings are lost. Once again, the notes are lost. Once again, the phone's screen cracked, the information inaccessible, the voices of the people lost, trapped within that disabled device. There's urgency to remember the river's murmuring, which wouldn't stop singing. The colonist Victor Valdeón conveyed, and his 90 Mizuki sunglasses in that quarry 20 kilometers inwards from Morococha that is now his. This urgency to write, to not forget anything, because the recordings lost, the digital notes, the phone, the screen smashed, the device disabled. I feel this urgency. I feel like I'm going to forget something because I'm so sad. Because my daughter Ramona died 4 weeks ago during her 6th month in Christina's womb. And my older brother Kiko died last week, probably from a heart attack or a stroke while he was playing football in Vietnam. And I never thought I could be this sad. And I don't know why I'm writing this anymore, but I feel with increasing intensity that there's something about the story of Morococha. That there's something about the story of Morococha. That there's something about the story of Morococha that I have to understand. That there's something about the story of Morococha that I have to understand. That there's something about the story of Morococha that we have to understand. That's why I'm still here, exploring each crevice in this prison cell, while the rain makes music against the ceiling. This urgency to write, a recurrent feeling. How can I ever find peace? This urgency to understand, to create a story or a poem that is relatable. Perhaps it's not about that. Perhaps it's just, it is what it is. Es lo que hay. Once again, the voices lost. Morococha, my baby daughter, my brother. ¿Qué nos queda? Llorar nomás. Víctor Valdeón, en su cantera. ¿Qué nos queda? ¿Qué nos queda? What do you do for a living, papi? I make worlds, mijo. I make worlds with words. Thank you.
Calmate y los de la bahía.
Songs